And we've reconvened to open session from closed session. Please be advised that a recording is being made at the direction of the board and that the recording may capture images and sounds of those attending our meeting tonight. 3.2, report of action taken in closed session. We did take action in closed session and the board voted to readmit student number 1803 back into the school. So attendance roll call, President Elkishan present, Clerk Reed. Here. Trustee Lopez. Here. Jones, sorry. Trustee Maxfield is absent tonight. Trustee Galindo. Here. And Student Representative Gonzalez. Okay, if everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, so I'm looking for a motion to go ahead and approve and adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 3.6, the district mission statement. We are a collaborative, culturally rich educational community where a rigorous and innovative curriculum prepares our students to be successful contributors to our global society. 4.1, recognition. The Board of Education recognizes students, employees, or members of the community who have received recognition for academic or athletic achievement or who have made significant contributions of any kind to the district, which is the case tonight. So tonight we are recognizing Pacific Tree Care, and I have a little statement I want to read just to make sure I don't leave anything out because they've done so much for the district. The Board of Trustees would like to recognize Pacific Tree Care for their generous contributions to our facilities department, as well as their donations to our high school's organic gardening class and woodshop class. In the facilities department, Pacific Tree Care has always helped when we've needed them, from inspecting trees in urgent situations at no cost, to adjusting schedules to take care of immediate tree issues. In the recent windstorms, they noticed that the wind damaged to the trees in front of the high school and cleaned them up free of charge and without even being contacted. Pacific Tree Care has also contributed multiple loads of mulch to Mr. Grove's organic gardening class, invaluable. Students are using the mulch to help restore the soil in all 4 of the garden plots and the orchard via a sheet mulching process. It has been a tremendous help in the evolution of the class. They have also donated their time and equipment to come on site and mill large redwood logs to demonstrate the milling process to Mr. Perry's woodshop class. The picnic tables outside of the district office were made using this milled wood. We are very appreciative of the contributions that Pacific Tree Care has made to our district, so we want to say thank you. So we have a little plaque that we'd like to present.
Because it's the community that rallies around the school that makes the difference. So thank you. Yeah. Oh, can I have a picture? He's so tall. Oh, there you go. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you, Jake. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, so 5.1, public business from the floor on non-agendized items. So this portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the board on any item regarding board business that's not on the agenda. Without taking action or entering into a dialogue with the public, board members may briefly respond to statements made or ask clarifying questions about topics posed by the public. Your matter may be referred to administration. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have anybody? Anybody out there have anything to speak on? No? Okay. Then we'll just move right on to presentations. 6.1, we have a presentation tonight from AIM High. Alec Lee, the Executive Director of AIM High, is going to present to us on the proposed Summer 2020 program.
Good evening. Let's try that again. Good evening, everybody. My name is Alec Lee. I'm the co-founder and executive director of AIM High.
I'm Stacey Lewis. I'm the Vice President of Development at AIM High.
AIM High is a summer learning program for middle school kids, and we've been exploring and investigating the possibility of launching an AIM High summer campus in Calistoga in 2020. And we are poised and ready to do that and excited for the opportunity. So Stacy and I are going to tell you a little bit about our program, but we also hope to answer any questions. And we wanted to start with the why. Why AIM High? Our program will be celebrating our 35th summer in operation this summer, and we believe that middle school is a pivotal time in the lives of young people. We believe that summer learning really matters, and we believe that these two factors impact students' future success. And as an organization that's been around for over 35 years, we have data that supports and research that backs this up. I'm sure everybody here is aware of the achievement gap, and that's why we exist, to be a critical lever in addressing the achievement gap. But as importantly, we believe that opportunity matters as well. And so college visits, career visits, curriculum that's unique and inspiring and project-based. And by the way, I know a lot of that happens in Calistoga schools, but we want to be a quality partner that augments this during the summer. Many of you, perhaps all of you, are familiar with this concept, summer learning loss. The reality that students lose academic progress over the summer, that it's more acute for kids with limited opportunities, for kids from low-income families, and that it's also cumulative. And that's why myself and another teacher founded AIM High in 1986 in San Francisco. And it's why we're excited to extend our work into the Calistoga community this summer. So let's talk a little bit about what we do. What is AIM High? And Stacy, do you want to take a couple of these?
Sure. So as Alec already said, we were founded 35 summers ago. In 2019, just to give you an idea of the scale and scope of our program, we had 2,250 students at 18 locations across the Greater Bay Area and also in Tahoe, Truckee. And in 2020, we're anticipating 2,400 students at 19 locations, one of which we hope is here in Calistoga. To support our students, we hire more than 500 teachers annually to provide our project-based learning environment. So our mission is to create life-changing opportunities during the summer and beyond, and we are focused not only on providing a high-quality academic experience for students throughout their middle school years, but also really nurturing them and thinking about the whole child. And so, as Alex said, we're providing not only high-quality academic experiences, but also opportunities that a lot of our students would not otherwise have access to during their AIM High summers. And we also are seeking to make an impact on the teachers in the classroom, and so inspiring them to stay in the field of education, and also providing an opportunity for high school and college students to experience teaching at AIM High, or teaching in general. So what is our model? What do we do? So first of all, I want to say that AIM High is no cost to students for the 5 weeks. It is 6 weeks for teachers. All of our educators, including high school interns, assistant teachers who are college students, and lead teachers who are professional educators. All of those staff are paid, and we fundraise to provide that experience. The program is multiple years. It is 4 grades. So students start with us this summer after 5th grade, and they graduate from Aim High the summer before 9th grade. So we are trying to support, I know that here in Calistoga, students make a transition after 6th grade. So we're really trying to support students both the transition into middle or junior high school and also the transition into high school. And Aim High provides 24 days of academic classes, math, science, humanities, which is like English language arts, and social studies, and issues and choices, which is my favorite part of Aim High. And it is an adolescent development curriculum that we've developed, and it's 1 part social and emotional learning, 1 part college and career awareness. A teacher once told me that issues and choices is the only class where students' lives are the subject of the class. So it's really critical to support their learning and the environment on campus. Great. Oh, okay, great. So one thing I didn't mention is that the academic classes, that's what happens in the morning at Aim High, and in the afternoon, students are enrolled in Enrichment Electives. And so those are designed by the staff, driven by their passions. I've seen students do things like rock climbing and poetry and music and graffiti art and soccer and swimming and all kinds of things that they do in the afternoon. And so these are the essential elements of Aim High, but they're also the elements that research says a high quality summer and middle school program should have. So I'll just highlight a couple of them. One thing is that we are highly involved with our parents. So there are 3 parent nights during the summer, during those 5 weeks. And we also provide tons of professional development for teachers, not only during that week of training before the summer program starts, but we have a model of embedded professional development where we are coaching and supporting our students, our teachers every day throughout the summer. So we love science and math at Aim High, and by the time students are completed with 4 summers of Aim High, they will have received 96 days of math and science over those 4 summers. Students are doing all kinds of science projects. You can see in the middle picture, they are dissecting a frog. On the right, we have a great project where students have to design a roller coaster using the laws of Newton's law of motion. And they also will build things like balloon cars and build terrariums, and we have a new interdisciplinary project where our 9th grade students are designing an eco-business that will solve an environmental issue and writing a comprehensive business plan and then pitching their business idea to investors.
And then beyond the classroom at Aim High, as Stacy said, it's a full-day program, 5 weeks, 6 weeks for teachers. But beyond that, faculty training, family engagement, co-curricular activities, which you mentioned, career, and then also our core values, which I'm going to say right now, I can't resist: community, opportunity, respect, and high expectations. The H is silent. So that's embedded in our school day and the work we do every day at Aim High. We're really proud of the fact that we won the Excellence in Summer Learning Award from the National Association of Summer Learning. We were the first organization to win it twice. And I think it's a reflection of the quality of the program, the school culture, and also our very thoughtful growth. And as we've said a couple of times, we're excited to expand our work to Calistoga this summer. So Aim High in Napa County, we've been in Napa County. We launched a program in Napa proper in 2016. We launched at Silverado Middle School, although we served kids from multiple schools. There are several people in the room who have visited that campus at Aim High. We started with 75 students. We've now moved to Napa High, and this summer we anticipate we'll have between 160 and 170 students, grades 6 through 9. We've had our first graduating class, and our plan, our hope this summer is to launch with 60 students, rising 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, right here in this building. I want to be clear to everybody that we could not do this without philanthropy. And so thank you to the Cowell Foundation, the vintners, to Rick Jones and his family who's in the audience. And Rick was also the person, along with his wife Elaine, who connected us with Aaron a year and a half ago. And we've been exploring, carefully researching the opportunity. Oh, got it. This is a snapshot of the students we served in Napa last summer. 156 students, you can see the demographics. But I'd like to point out the list on the right side of the slide. This is our focus as an organization. So the campuses that we have in San Francisco, in Oakland, we have a program in Richmond, Nevada, Redwood City, Truckee. This is very consistent. And in fact, these are higher percentages here in Napa. And we're really proud to be serving kids who need us most. And a very close partnership in Napa with the Migrant Ed department. Here's our teachers in Napa, and we hope to replicate that in Calistoga. I do want to point out in Napa, we had a cadre of Napa County public school teachers who joined us that first year, and they've been with us every year since then, including one of the site directors, and that's been a real key to our success. So, as you can see, strong site directors, talented district teachers, and then now in Napa, we have our first graduates who are coming back to volunteer in the program, and as they get older, as Stacy mentioned, those will be paid positions for high school and college students. So that's a big piece of our model. Calistoga, we're going to make it happen, right? Yes, thank you. Okay, so said lunch. I heard a couple of nice. There's a future AIM High student over there. I think I heard a nice cheer from that corner of the room. So launching with grades 6, 7, and 8, the first year numbers. I do want to pause and talk about a challenge. We actually initially thought there would be a challenge around number of students, but Zach, I want to thank you and Dira and the school district for helping us get a good sense. There are enough kids, there's a high degree of interest, we know there's need. So we feel like that's less of a challenge, but we do want to hire a really strong founding group. So I want to say that again, founding group of teachers who are, in all seriousness, making history, bringing AIM High to Calistoga. And so we want to work closely with the district and with other community partners to find a great group of teachers. And that does include college and high school interns. Those are paid positions, something you might want to think about. Go online, check us out tonight, and apply to AIM High to work this summer. We want to invite everybody in the room to come visit AIM High this summer, pretty much any day, but we will have a visiting day. And that's when we first met Indira and Aaron and others, and that's what set this opportunity in motion. We are poised for success. So again, I want to really thank and highlight Aaron. Thank you so much for your belief in our work and coming to see us, and pretty much saying yes to everything we asked for. Local funding, quality partners, community buy-in, and we know there are wonderful kids and families, and we know the need is real. And again, based on our research, our feeling is there's not competition for AIM High in terms of academic enrichment during the summer. Rather, we see ourselves as a quality partner with the district, Boys and Girls Club, etc. I'd just like everybody to take a look. Stacy mentioned AIM High graduates, of which we have approximately 10,000. And this is a quote, a recent quote from one. AIM High was the first place I learned about college. It helped me start reaching for my goals early on so I could be where I am today. AIM High helped show me what a child from a low-income first-generation family could achieve. In terms of next step, during the month of January, we were talking about this before the meeting, we really want to hustle in terms of hiring and putting together that founding group. So Stacy and I were here earlier this afternoon meeting with a couple of teachers. Our board will approve this on February 1st, so our board of trustees, I can assure you, it's going to happen because we're funded and all those other reasons about success that I pointed out. So it's a great opportunity for AIMHI. I want to thank the people in the room who I've already mentioned for really believing in our work and supporting this expansion in Napa County. So we want to pause and see if there's any questions, and then we actually have just a brief, if there's time, a brief look at our work in Napa, a video clip. Yes?
How long is the school day?
The school day is 8 to 3:30, so it's a full day.
Are you thinking of also hiring any retired teachers?
We are certainly open to that. I'll give you my card afterwards.
Thank you.
That would be fantastic. Yes, in the back, a future AIMHI student.
What happens if the students don't attend? Like,
Well, trust me, when you come the first day and you see all the great teachers and college and high school interns and the activities and the classes, you're going to want to come every day.
I mean, but what if you're sick? Do you
Well,
have
if
to
you're
call?
sick, if you're sick, you give a call and you get well and you come back the next day.
Okay.
But we are pretty firm about coming every day and making that commitment. And so there is an application, it's very low key, it's available in multiple languages, but we do ask families to make a commitment that their child comes every day. You're going to want to come every day.
And I would just say at our other sites, our average daily attendance is usually 90% or higher.
I would like to thank you guys for the work that you're doing in regards to the students of color. And all the awards that you've shown, it shows that your work is worth the money. So my question is, in regards, Napa County has 65% of teachers of color. How would that factor in here at Calistoga? We're at our high school and junior high. We only have one teacher of color.
I mean, we know that's going to be part of the challenge, and if you look at across not just Napa, but all of our other campuses, it's a very high percentage of teachers of color. And so, we're obviously committed to hiring district teachers who know kids, but we're also looking at other school districts and potentially teachers in community-based organizations. I mean, we know that the staff has to reflect the kids, but I'm not going to lie to you, it's going to be a challenge.
I appreciate your honesty, because when I got on your website, that was a big emphasis, and you guys are pushing that these kids need to see themselves from the teacher and the teacher as well. Is the program been funded completely? Is there any obligation from the district?
The program is, we have pledges. We have funded the program for the first 3 years, or we wouldn't be launching. And there's, do you want to speak to that?
We will be coming back in the next meeting, Mark, to see if the district would like to make a particular contribution. Part of our contribution too will be we would feed the students, and then also we provide the facilities. So that's understood.
But the three main funders are the Vintners, the Cal Foundation, and the Jones Family Foundation.
That's awesome. I heard the word hero earlier today. You guys truly are heroes for the children of color.
That's tremendously generous of you.
Please keep up the good work.
Thanks. Yes?
Hi, Pat Hamilton, Calistoga Tribune. Could you do a little more detail on the funding? What does it cost to run the program per summer? And what the cost per student might be? And where's the money specifically coming from, and how is it broken down?
Thank you for your question. The cost per student per summer is $2,500, so about $500 a week, which is consistent with a lot of summer camp programs. And so the way that we have, would you like to know how we've raised it here in this community?
Particularly locally.
Okay, locally, yes. So the Jones, is it okay if I share? Okay. The Jones family has contributed $25,000 plus an additional $25,000 as a match. So far, we have secured about $12,000 of the $25,000 match. So we do have a little bit left to raise, but we are very confident that we will do that. People love challenge matches. They love to know that their gift will be doubled. The Cowell Foundation is contributing $50,000. Napa Valley Community Foundation is part of that 10.
We might have to do a follow-up with you about the exact, which we're happy to do, and then the Vintners.
Oh, yes, and the Vintners have contributed $15,000 to help us launch. we do suspect or we hope and suspect that funding will increase in summer too.
Thank you very much.
We're happy to have a follow-up conversation. Are there any other questions? How are we doing on time?
I just have one question. So you've been in Napa for 4 years.
This will be our 5th summer in Napa. Okay.
And then I'm imagining you've been in some other school districts for a little bit longer than that.
Quite a bit longer.
What has been some of the data successes that you've seen?
Yeah, I mean, there's a, kind of be careful what you wish for, because we could bury you with data. It might be worth a follow-up conversation, but we basically measure anything and everything. So math gains, reading, a lot of 21st century learning skills, transition to high school graduation, college matriculation, and then we also have data sharing agreements with districts, so we can look at students' progress based on their experience in AIM. It's kind of a short answer. Do you want to add anything?
I do.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we, the district data that we have varies from district to district. I could tell you in San Francisco, where we have 7 locations, that when you look at the 9th and 10th grade math and English language arts performance of AIM High students compared to their peers who did not do AIM High, but are of a similar socioeconomic level, AIM High students are outperforming their peers. Also, we are tracking high school graduation and college matriculation, and we know that 98% of our graduates are finishing high school on time and enrolling in college, which is much higher than low-income students nationally. And we will soon, we hope, have college completion data of our alumni, but we don't have that yet. But we are planning to measure it. And I'll just say one other thing, which is that we're right now partnering with the Stanford University Gardner Center, their youth development and education evaluation firm. And some of the early results of the study show that AIM High does make a positive impact on students' attendance in school during the year.
I'm excited.
We are too. Thank you. And please help us find teachers. Please come visit us this summer. I think there's a couple of potential AIM High students over there, so I hope you'll apply and fill out that application. And you'll be the first AIM High students in Calistoga. You'll be making history.
Yay.
So if you want to come over here, you can see what AIM High looks like in Napa County. It's only 2 minutes. Thank you, Paula.
If I didn't have AIM High to do this summer, I would be in bed, using my phone, bored, probably sleeping, not doing much. Napa's a really beautiful place, but for most of my friends and me, there isn't any programs for us, and most of them also go visit family in Mexico, so it just leaves me to do nothing. When I first started AIM High, I was very shy. When I had a question in class, I'd wait till after everyone left. This is my 3rd summer at AIM High. I will be a 9th grader, and I've grown so much. Now in class, if I have a question, I will raise my hand. If I don't understand anything, I talk to the teacher right away. My grades went from B's, C's, and even an F to B's, and even sometimes an A. During the school year, when we learned something new in class, I tell myself, where do I know this? I know this from somewhere. And it's like, oh yeah, it's from AIM High. And then I already feel prepared for the rest of the class. AIM High encourages me to be myself because you're not judged here. You can be yourself and no one's gonna criticize you. If anyone does, you can always go to an adult because they'll help you no matter what. They won't put it aside. They'll get to it right away.
Nancy has always been a go-getter. She's always looked for opportunities. She's the only student that we've had email us, when is AIM High going to start? Are the applications out? AIM High is important for students like Nancy, especially that live in Napa. A lot of kids don't have an opportunity to go outside of Napa, don't have opportunity to visit universities, go on field trips. With AIM High, Nancy has seen what a great future she can have.
My parents have always wanted me to go to college and get an education so that I can have a good career. AIM High is opening that path for me.
thank you so much for inviting us here tonight. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to making Aim High Calistoga happen this summer. Thank you.
Since he's here, I'd like to just say thank you to Mr. Jones as well.
And Rick, I also wanted to thank you.
That's our career day at GoPro.
Additional advertising. Rick, I want to thank you. Rick was the person who brought this initial idea to me, and also for your generosity, Rick, for supporting kids all over Napa. And Alec, thank you.
It's a success, and we'll be very happy.
Thank you for your success. And Alec, thank you, and Stacy and the rest of your staff for your persistence and your belief in our students. It's greatly appreciated.
Thank you. We're going to head back to San Francisco, but it's really a pleasure to meet all of you and see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. No other questions? Okay, 6.2, Calistoga Elementary School Yosemite Field Trip. So tonight's presentation is going to actually be in two parts. One is that we have our slide presentation that Jen Wadlinger very generously put together. And then in addition, and we started this last year, is having students present their writing because the outdoor education is really a very strong start to this program, and so having students be able to share their writing kind of brings it back to why we're doing this.
Should we do the video or the slideshow first? Sure. Okay.
Okay, so who went in the spider cave? Oh, and did anybody do the overnight trip to the cabin to the sequoias? No, nobody here. So much fun.
Nobody went up? Yeah.
Yeah, you did? That's a hard floor, huh?
Oh.
I'm still recovering from that. Good job.
Okay, we're going to stand up here for moral support. Who wants any volunteers? Okay, Chris, come on up. Each student wrote a personal narrative describing one specific memory from Yosemite. Yes, you may just read. You didn't memorize these? No. Okay.
Are you scared of the dark? If you are, I'm going to tell you something that might change your mind. And if you're not, I would recommend the Spider Cave in Yosemite, and this is my experience. We were walking through Yosemite heading to the Spider Cave. I was anxious. I had an anxious feeling, but I was excited. But when the instructor said there was a hole that goes to the bottom, I was trembling and the chill went through my back. When we finally got there, I saw a hole and I was scared, but I still did it. When we got in the hole, it was pitch black, literally. We had to communicate with their teammates, and at one point I thought I was falling into a deep hole that never ends and will never come out. And it's only darkness. When I finally realized I was touching the ground, I felt relieved. When I finally finished the tunnel, I saw a light shining like I was being rewarded for my effort. And that's an experience I'll never forget that will make me happy for years.
That was Chris. This is Ezia.
The amazing Vernal Falls waterfall by Ethan Readiness. Have you ever been to Vernal Falls? Well, I have. I bet if you were there, you would love it as much as I did. It was a gorgeous place. The water is clear as ice in winter. It is really wonderful. But when we got up there and saw it closely, it was way more gorgeous than I thought. I've seen it in pictures, but I've never thought it would be this pretty. It looked like a blue sky on a sunny day. It was about 12 a.m. It was a chilly morning. My face touched the breeze from the wind, and I was as snoozy as a bear in winter. The sun was shining, and every time I looked up at the sun, it would make my eyes ache. We began hiking, and we're almost there, but still have some time to get up there. We took some breaks and began hiking. It was extremely tiring. As more high we were, as more tiring and difficult it was. My legs were asleep, and I felt like I was carrying my mom's grocery bags on my legs. Can you imagine? When we got up there, it was the most extraordinary thing I've seen in my life. After observing, we ate lunch. We also saw this hungry squirrel that was trying to eat our lunch. I enjoyed being in Yosemite. Yosemite was an unimaginable view and is a place to make new discoveries and make new adventures. And it was actually really interesting hearing the bears at night growling like a lion catching its prey, and eating lunch in nature, and also using nature bathroom. I totally remember that. That was my adventure in Yosemite. It was tiring and hard work to get up there, but my friends and I got up there and saw the amazing waterfall, but I had to make a wish. If I had to make a wish, it would be to go to Yosemite again. If you go there, you should also write about your experience going to Vernal Falls in Yosemite. After observing the waterfall, we ate lunch and talked about what was the most interesting part of the day. Well, I liked everything, but my favorite part was Vernal Falls. Absolutely sure about that. You are off to great places, so again, today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way by Dr. Seuss.
Alma.
Seeing a stream by Salma Vasquez. There was a little stream in Merced Road. On a sunny day, the water was shining like diamonds. The stream was little, but it had lots of water. It had a lot of colorful rocks in the water, like red, gray, orange, red with orange, and a rock, and red rocks with black lines. The stream was super cold like ice, and I got my shoes wet and my feet were frozen. And some boys were making a wall of rocks, and I went over the stream. I felt cold when I went to the stream because our cabin was uphill and the stream was downhill. I didn't smell anything in the air or in the stream. There was a lot of plants on the sides of the stream and some dead logs. When I touched the water, I felt like my hand was frozen. I didn't taste anything in the air. I hear a lot of birds in the water in the stream. The water was sparkling like diamonds. I was so sad that we had to go, but I'll keep this as a memory.
Lily? This is Liliana.
Good evening. Yosemite Experience by Liliana Hernandez. Yosemite National Park has dazzling views. This place brought me many experiences, but this experience I will never forget with my friend Isabella. This was a terrifying experience, yet it also turned out to be amazing. On a bitterly cold night, I was in my cabin with my friends Caitlin, Isabella H., and Cassie. While we all slept, I was woken by Isabella, and she asked me to go to the restroom with her. I agreed. We headed to the restroom in the chilly night. When we headed back in the bitter coldness, we heard a roaring sound. But I was half asleep, so I didn't think much of it. Then Isabella tapped me on the shoulder and in an anxious voice said, "Lily, there's a bear." I didn't think much of it and said, "No, someone in the cabin's just snoring." She pulled me and I saw two adorable bears eating. As we watched them eat, one of the bear cubs gave us a look that made us afraid. Then we heard a growl and ran to our cabins frantic. Trying to open the lock, we managed to get in, stormed inside out of breath. Caitlin and Cassie turned on the light and asked us what happened. We explained what had happened. Caitlin was amused but scared to go out. We had to convince her to go out to the restroom later. Yet Cassie, on the other hand, in an exhausted voice, just looked at us and asked us, "Did it eat you?" We said no. She raised her voice and told us we'll go to sleep. As we ended the night in laughter and went back to sleep, this experience was terrifying and fascinating. Have you ever seen a bear? That was my first time, and I hope you really do one day.
This is Ella.
Nerve-wracking Spider Cave by Ella Marone. It was early morning. I could hear the beautiful angelic bird songs. The sun touched my face as my cold body warmed up. The guide's voice sounded calm and assuring as he was talking to us about this historic cave. We took off our backpacks, the butterflies in my stomach stronger than ever. We headed in, the rocks as cold as the ice in my fridge. The warmth of the sun was gone, and it was pitch black. I could feel the shivers go down my spine as I jumped in. I was nauseated and nervous as my cold hands touched the cold rocks. I crawled through the tight spaces, my eyes trying to adjust to the cold darkness. My body touching the pointy rocks as I squeezed my body through as you would squeeze a lemon to get lemon juice. I grasped my cold but sweaty hands around one of the rocks to pull my body out from the darkness. My face touched the warm sunlight once again. The glacial wind blew my knotty hair out of my face as I pulled myself out of the hole. My feet touched the rocky gravel. I explained to my teacher what a wonderful experience this was. We headed back. I felt very proud of myself. My friends were laughing. "What are you laughing at?" I said. "We knew you were going to be okay." They all started laughing.
This is Jaden.
Slapping of sandals filled my ears. Slap, slap. I was cleaning the bathroom mirrors with a clean rag at that time. It sounded like the slapping came from the boys' bathroom. I had to stop cleaning the mirrors to check it out. I walk in, all I see was all the boys huddled around David because he was beating the crap out of a spider. I was dying of laughter. I finished cleaning the mirrors. I still could not stop thinking about that spider. Our dad was waiting for everyone to finish their job so we could take the bus to the valley. Everyone was finally done. The ride was over. The ride over did not take long. There was a lot of people huddled around some kind of garden snake. One of the kids there said, it's gonna kill us all. I was laughing, but not as much when they beat the spider to death. The valley has good view of every landform, like El Capitan or the Three Brothers. It was beautiful. Shiny rocks in the trails, and especially the spider cave. Going into the spider cave was dark. It was pitch black. It was funny in the spider cave. I hit my head multiple times. Also, nobody knew if Annalise was crying or laughing. We got back to the valley. It was dinner. They served macaroni and cheese. It was like a gourmet dish. We had free time and we played a game of hide and seek in a cabin with the lights off. We had 20 seconds to hide. Oscar was seeking. I hid behind his luggage. When Oscar checked his luggage, I scared him. He got startled and punched me straight in the face. Days went on. It was Thursday. It was the day we go hiking to Merced Road. It was 2 to 3 miles to get there, I think. When we got there, I didn't think we had to get water from the street and it got annoying. My favorite part is when we played this game that was kind of like hide and seek but in the dark. We ate rice and beans for dinner. It was the best. After dinner, we had to sleep on a hardwood floor. In the morning, we drank hot cocoa and a quick bowl of oatmeal. After we were done, we had to hike back before the bus leaves. I was so relieved to go back home, but at the same time, I wish we stayed a bit longer. At least I have memories in my heart. If we wouldn't have missed that bus, I probably wouldn't have written all of this down.
That was great, you guys. For a second, I felt like I was there again. So good. Do you think that the food is just really good or you're just really hungry? I thought the food was so good. Good? Yeah.
I mean, it depends if you're hungry or you're not.
Yeah. I don't know, it was pretty good. That was a great job. Very descriptive.
Okay, sixth graders, you're dismissed. Bye, guys.
Okay. Now on to more fun things. 6.3, our audit. Michael Ash, partner at Christie White Associates, presenting the results of our 1819 audit. That's a hard act to follow.
That was going to be my intro. Good evening. My name is Michael Ash, Christie White Associates. And again, it's an impossible act to follow. And I feel like you do it to me on purpose because 2 years ago, I was here and you had the police officers were giving 2 of your students an award for their fire, for helping with fires. And now this year, I get to follow that great program that you might possibly get, plus hearing the kids with all their experiences. So again, impossible act to follow, but it is great to see. I'm so focused on the numbers sometimes that you tend to forget why we're all here and what we're doing, and that is for the students. So it is really refreshing and great to see. So I am here to present the results of your 2018-19 audit, and fortunately I have great news to report. After following that, it would be very hard to have bad news. So just a little bit, I'm going to keep my presentation short. I will open it up for any questions that you might have after. So our procedures have not changed really at all from the prior audits. We visit the district at least 2 times a year. I think this district would come 3 times. So we come In the spring of 18-19, because it's during the school year that we're auditing, and we visit your school sites. We look at your attendance, we look at your ASBs, items like that. We came out in the summer before the books were closed. We look at some of your internal controls, some state compliance items, and then we come back in the fall after the books are closed, look at all the financial data, that type of thing. This report is due to the state by December 15th, so this is the district's report. We have what we call our auditor's opinions and any audit findings in here. But we do assist the district in putting this together because it is, as you've probably noticed, very long and cumbersome and hard to follow. And then this has to be presented to the board each year by January 31st. So that's why we're here. A couple of highlights on the financial statements that I'll go over before I go over our auditor's results. This was a pretty light year as far as any changes. There weren't a lot of new accounting standards. You probably remember 4 years back there was the big change with the pensions and bringing on your portion of the STRS and PERS liabilities. 2018 there was an OPEB change that happened. That was a pretty big standard, which other post-employment benefits, your medical, dental, vision paid to retirees. But this year there really wasn't a whole lot of new stuff, so very similar to last year. One major difference from this report versus what Maureen presents to you is Maureen presents your fund accounting, which is on a modified accrual basis. You'll see that in here, but you'll also see your government-wide statements, which is full accrual, so you'll see long-term liabilities, capital assets, that type of thing. One thing that's great for your district that we don't see very often along the lines of OPEB is you have a net OPEB asset. So you've actually funded more of your other post-employment benefits than you're projected to have to spend. That's very rare for a school district. Only a handful that I audit have assets. Most have liabilities, and sometimes those liabilities can be quite extensive. So very good there. As of June 30th, 2019, I know a lot can change, but the district reserves were in very good shape. Your financial health was very good. So no concerns there from the financial side. If you'll turn with me to page 74, if you want to follow along. I'm not sure what page that would be in your packet. It's towards the very back. I always tell board members, if you're only going to read one page of the audit report, this is a good one to read. This is the summary of our auditor's results. So you'll see the first section, that's on the financial statements. So that's on these financial statements, the notes of the financial statements. We're giving an unmodified opinion. That's the right.
It's an action.
Action.
So it comes again, I just want to just so we can follow.
No worries. Absolutely. So yeah, it's page 74 of the report. And so with the financial statements, unmodified opinion, that's the best opinion that you can get. That means that in our independent auditor's opinion, these financial statements are fairly stated in all material respects. So very good there. Because you're a school district, we have to do your audit under what's called Yellow Book of Government Auditing Standards. So if we do come across any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in terms of controls over financial reporting, they do have to be reported in here. And also any non-compliance material to financial statements. So you'll see no, none reported, and no. So we had no internal control findings to report. Federal awards, the district did not spend in 2019 $750,000 in federal money. I think you probably remember in 2018 you had that emergency watershed grant, I think it was. So that threw you over the threshold for that 1 year. So we did have to do a single audit that year, but for 18-19 we didn't have to do one, which has been typical of your last few audits before last year. And then state awards, because you're a school district, each year they put out a state audit guide of all the different areas that they want us to look at. So that's everything from your attendance, your instructional minutes, your LCAP, making sure that's in compliance, quite a few different areas they have us look at. Again, unmodified opinion, no findings noted. So that's great news. This is our third year doing the audit. I think we've gone from maybe 2 findings to 1 finding to no findings. So every year we've gotten better. Last year at this time, I think Maureen, was either your first day? I think it was your first day, right? So, before that you had some turnover in the district in that position. And, as an auditor, we're always nervous when a new person comes in. Working with Jenna before, she was really great. So you just never know how it's going to go with a new person. But I'm happy to say that Maureen has been fantastic to work with. She's gotten us everything that we needed. And I think the results of this audit really show that she knows what she's doing. So that's all I have. So any questions?
Thank you. We appreciate working with Christy White Associates. So especially Michael and Sarah, who's one of the people that come out. So, make it very easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Okay, and 6.4, Up Valley Family Center Services, Zach Kaluza, Education Program Manager.
I don't know how I'm going to follow that really exciting stuff, more exciting stuff for you, but Aaron asked me to come in and just give a quick little snapshot of the counseling services for the district this year. So if you remember, at the end of last year, we came and we talked about the total number of students that we saw, the wait list that we were concerned about, and the efforts that we were going to make this year towards reducing that wait list. I'm happy to report that we've actually seen significant improvements in that area. So to date, we've received 101 referrals between both sites, 40 at the elementary school, 61 at the junior senior high school. And we've seen 90 of those students. So we've almost seen 9% of all the referrals that have come in to date this year. 35 students at Costco Elementary, 55 at junior senior high. 15 of those declined services after the first session, but we did connect with them, check in with them. They saw a therapist and they decided that this wasn't for them at this time, so they declined. And left on our wait list currently is 11 students. We have 5 students at the elementary school, 6 at junior senior high, and we anticipate that if we keep going with the current level of referrals that we're getting, we're going to get to every student this year that gets referred for counseling services. So that's a huge win. Secondly, one of the other things that we're working on, which I didn't put on a slide, but just to talk briefly about, is we are working on developing a system to start billing through Medi-Cal with some of the counseling services. So it would be Beacon Medi-Cal's who we'll be using through Mentis. And the idea is that we can offset some of the cost of these services with students who do have Medi-Cal insurance. What we're trying to work through right now is figuring out how to identify those students who have Medi-Cal and then how to go through the billing process with them. So thankfully Mentis is taking care of the billing piece, and right now we've developed a one-page intake form that's going to be included in the packet for all new referrals that will include a question about insurance information. And if they do have Medi-Cal, they'll check the box, and then the Mentis will reach out and get their Medi-Cal number from them and process the billing that way. I do want to point out, though, that just because we're doing that, that doesn't mean that anyone who gets referred will not be seen because they don't have insurance. All of these services are covered through the school district. We're trying to find a way to offset some of the costs so that maybe next year potentially we can bring in extra resources to eliminate the need for a wait list altogether and have an extra day of counseling services potentially, but we're just trying to figure out what that's going to look like. The other thing I wanted to just briefly touch on is the district also funds the Family Center to do restorative practices at both the elementary school and at the high school. Our groups have started. We currently have 2 groups of boys, 5th and 6th grade boys at the elementary school that we're seeing weekly, and here at the junior senior high school we actually are just starting this semester with the groups, and we're working with Michelle Craig Morales and Monica Baldonegro to determine how that referral process is going to work, because a lot of these kids have credit-bearing classes and it's hard to pull, and there's 1,200 other organizations pulling for their CAT advisory time, and so we're trying to make sure that we're really meeting the need for the students that need it where it's necessary, and getting referrals from Michelle, who kind of knows everything about everybody at the school. So that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
So restorative practices are always during the school day?
They are during the school day. There's potential for us to offer it after the school day. It's just kind of hard to get students to commit to coming in after the last bell rings. But if we do have a group of students who would like to do that work after school, we're more than happy to see them for a group. Yeah.
And Zach, I want to thank you for your work. We're so fortunate to have Mentis, but it takes someone to connect Mentis with the need, right? And someone to facilitate that. And Matt, you've done a great job with it, and thank you for your good work to reduce the numbers on the wait list.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Bringing the closure to all of this good stuff with the California.
All right, so we've reached the new decade, 2020. I was reflecting on this, and where were we in 2010? And it's amazing how far we've come. In 2010, we were still giving the STAR test, and the state was giving us a singular number for the district based on math and science tests so that we could compare ourselves with other schools, right? And when we look at the dashboard, it's really impressive what the state is offering us right now. We still have there at the end math and language arts assessment, though we now get it for each school site. But now we also have college and career readiness indicator, graduation rate, English language progress, suspension rate, chronic absenteeism, and then next year we'll have our CAST or our science test for the first time. So it's impressive. I think at times it's labor intensive, especially for a small district to provide that information to the state, but it's a good payoff. And not only do we have all of that information, we have it then broken down by student group or student subgroup. There's a blurb up in the corner. I think it's correct. The dashboard is a powerful online tool that displays the performance of local education agencies, schools, and students group to assist in identifying strengths, challenges, and with continuous improvement. And I think that's right. I think that's exactly what the dashboard does for us. As a reminder, the dashboard presents a color for each indicator, blue being the highest or strongest level of performance, red being the lowest, and how we achieve that color. It's quite clever, actually. It takes into account status or overall performance, but also change and growth, and expectation that we have growth from year to year. I think that's the right thing to do rather than either or, like the older systems did. And we'll just jump right in. During this presentation, we're going to go pretty slow, and we're going to go through each piece of data presented in the dashboard. I think this data is that important that we do take our time with it. And we're going to start with Calistoga Elementary School. And each slide will be in a similar format. So this is chronic absenteeism. These are students who are absent from school 10% or more of their school days. And so this larger box you see on the left, this is all students at Calistoga Elementary School. The state has rated us in the green area. We have 5.7% of students chronically absent versus the state, which is the smaller box. This is the state average. So we have really half of the percentage total that the state is seeing being chronically absent. And we decline by 1.9%. In this case, a decline is a good thing. We want to decline or see less students every year. So we are performing very well in chronic absenteeism, especially relative to its state performance. Suspension rate is also in the green area. 2.2% of students were suspended at least once last year. This is a decline. Again, that's a good thing. And this is quite a bit lower than the state average of 3.4 students suspended. In English language arts, again, the green area, we had a 6.1, we are 6.1 points above standard, which is superior to the state average. And we had a really significant gain in English language arts, 27.4 points. We reviewed the CASP data in detail previously, so that's kind of that data. This is how it appears on the dashboard. In mathematics, again, we're in the green zone there. We are well above the state average, and we had a significant increase. This is a new indicator for us this year. Because it's the first year, we don't get to see the growth or the color because it's the first year. Next year we'll have a color associated with this. This year it's just kind of the raw data. And what you see is we had 208 students at the elementary school who are English learners who took the LPAC test. 45.7% of them made progress on their score on that test from the previous year. This is slightly below the state average, but this is in the medium, what's called the medium range of performance. And this is a slide I think we just need to really slow down and recognize what's happened at the elementary school this past year. We have growth in every single indicator. We have especially large growth in English language arts and mathematics. Superior performance to the state in all but one category, that being the new English language learner or English learner category. We'll talk in a bit about subgroup data, but these are some subgroup performances that really stood out to me at the elementary school. 32-point gain in ELA for socioeconomically disadvantaged students. Students with disability had the largest gains. English language, arts, and math, and English learners had a 33-point gain in English language arts. I'm always actually looking for areas for growth, because that's in the work we do on continuous improvement. You want to see areas for growth. But I don't see them at the elementary school. I think the challenge will be for the elementary school moving forward will be when you have gains that are this significant, how do you sustain them? A lot of times what you do see in the standardized testing is performances, the big gains, and then kind of leveling off the next year, which isn't what we want to see, right? We want to see continuous growth everywhere. But with gains that were this significant, I think the elementary school will have to strive to continue gains next year. But I also think they're doing all the right things to achieve continual growth on a daily basis. We're going to now look at the junior senior high school. And they have some different indicators than the elementary, one of which is graduation rate. They're at 95.7% graduating. This is quite superior to the state average. It is a decline, but with our scale, this is literally one student. So we went from 100% to 95.7. That's one student who didn't graduate. We're still in the blue or the highest range of graduation rate. Chronic absenteeism. We're at 5% of our students in junior senior high school miss 10% or more of their days, compared to the state average of around 10%. This was a slight increase, which is why we ended up in the yellow range. We did go backwards by 2.2%, but again, this is a handful of students, or small student population. Suspension rate, we are at 7.7%, which is higher than the state average. Last year we had scores that were superior to the state average. So this is a significant change for us. Though I think we should be cognizant of when an incident happens that requires a suspension, which we had several last year at the junior senior high school. It's incumbent on the principal or administrator to suspend. There isn't a lot of flexibility. And I even think with the work we're doing with restorative practices, sometimes you're going to suspend a student for expendable action, and then you're going to work doubly hard on the restorative piece to make sure that the student learns from their mistake. We don't want to see scores in the red, but I think that this is an indicator that we continue to take with a grain of salt. We do not want to have a permissive school, so I think we monitor this, but this did go from green to red last year. English language arts, we are in the orange. We are below the state average. We did decline. This is data we reviewed previously. In mathematics, we are well below the state average. And we had a significant decline. Again, data that we reviewed previously. College and career indicator. We were in the green last year. This year in the orange. We're still ahead of the state average, but I tell you, this one was a surprise to us. We thought we would make gains in this category, and I'm going to go into some more detail. As much as I really do like the dashboard for the information it presents, and I think it's a pretty high level of transparency, this particular indicator really isn't. What does that mean, college and career readiness? What does that exactly mean? This is the one indicator that needs some explanation. And so I'll go through that. This indicator is really based on a whole series of things. Students' performance on SBAC or PASP, AP exams, IB or dual enrollment, which we don't have, A to G completion, CTE pathway completion, and then something that's not on this graphic, a new element last year is called the seal of biliteracy, which is a student who can demonstrate proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and foreign language. And we knew we would have an increased number of students completing a pathway. We knew we would have students who met that new criterion of seal of biliteracy. So when we saw us backsliding this year, it was surprising, so we had to dig into the data, and where we found the impact really had to do with the CASP scores.
And it's the CAS scores of last year's seniors, so this is tests that were taken in 2018. That's kind of how this occurs. And it's just this indicator is complex, just because it's so much in all there. We see the English learner progress. This is the new indicator. We are well above the state average in progress at the junior senior high school, and we're in that high category. In the summary of the junior senior high school performance, we see superior performance in graduation rate, academic absenteeism, college career readiness, and English learner progress. We see lagging performance in suspension rate, math, English language arts, and we recognize declines in all indicators last year. So tonight's presentation has been about the elementary school performance, about the junior senior high school performance. Those combined get us to a district-wide performance. And so on this slide, I'm just going to really focus on that one column there that says district. And we recognize that we're in the highest range for graduation rate, in the high green range for English language arts, in that orange middle range for college career readiness, suspension rate, mathematics, and waiting for more information on English learner progress. One nice thing that the dashboard does for us is it gives us data by subgroup. And so this is a breakdown of all of our subgroup performance. If you try to see what can you glean from this, I don't see huge gaps in performance. What I do see is a cluster in the yellow and orange range. We'd love to see that shifting, primarily to the green range and blue range. The one thing I can tell you I am excited about with this slide is last year when we looked at the same slide, we had 4 groups in 4 different categories in the red zone. And all 4 of those have moved out. And students with disabilities have moved from the red all the way over to the orange in math and ELA. We had huge gains for our special education students last year in math and English. And then we have this new group in suspension, which is primarily due to a handful of incidents at the second grade. So the dashboard gives us good data. We do recognize it is really quite far in arrears. This is old data. It's looking backwards. It's always going to be that way. It's always going to be summative data. It's not the performance of kids today. This is performance of kids last year, and as far back as to August, September of last year. We recognize that, though I do think there is value to the district. There's considerable value in how we use the data for continuous improvement, how we use it to drive the development of programs. Many of these programs have already been in place since some of this data occurred, and some of these are still pending. But I think that's really the ultimate payoff for us on the dashboard is how it drives our programs. And I think it's important that we review some of those tonight. Again, some of these are already happening, and some of them are to come. UC Davis Math Project, K-12 articulation and planning to impact our math performance. Some good work happening right now in response to intervention and professional learning communities at the elementary school. Expanded trainings in restorative practices this year at the secondary level, as well as the makeup trainings at the elementary level for new staff. Adoption and implementation of new local assessment, which better aligns with the SBAC. New professional development, and I put sustained support, so not one training, but multi-year support for culturally responsive instruction and secondary math instruction. We added quite a bit of additional paraprofessional staffing, which is good hands on the ground, human contact with kids to support learning. PK parent training, English language instructional strategies training, which is something we have not done in a long time. Additional summer school offerings, a commitment to rising ninth graders, and the potential for a new summer school class to be at Aim High. All the good work that the data leadership team is doing right now on creating data protocols, data culture, making sure we're using data effectively. And then from last month's presentation, all the series of actions that are coming out of the WASP action plan. So that's a lot of information. I don't know if it was as fun as the other presentation. That's what I have for you. And I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Anybody? I have a few. For one, the elementary school, the marks are very impressive. I feel that there's still work to do seeing that in English language arts, we only have 53% meeting or exceeding the standard, and in math, 46% meeting or exceeding the standards. I feel there's still a lot of work to do. If that was a test score, they would both be failing grades. But there is huge bumps, in which gives us the positive marks on the dashboard. I was curious to, by the way, that's the most information I've seen out of the dashboard. Thank you for that. One discrepancy that I'm kind of perplexed about is in our school's accountability report card, it has a 100% graduation rate, and in that dashboard, that wasn't a 100% graduation rate. So which one is true?
Sure, so let's go back a little bit. I do want to clarify something about percentages. You know, when we were students and we took a test, and even today, when a classroom teacher gives a classroom-based assessment, usually when a student reaches 90%, they get an A, right? 80% is a B, 70% is a C. That's an old traditional grading system that really is still in classrooms today. That is not how standardized assessments are built from the state. They're built in a different way to allow us to look at lots of schools and draw lots and lots of comparisons. So you're not, you know, so us being at, for example, 54, 56% efficient, when they scale that out on how those tests are built, that's a really good score. In a classroom, it would be an F, right? That's just not, it's not apples to apples the way that classroom assessments are graded and the way that a standardized assessment from the state is constructed. And we can look at more of that. It's worth clarifying. And yeah, I have to look at the SARC and make sure I understand what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, to another question on that, we have a report on the dashboard. Why don't we get a report on our school's accountability report card? Because our legislators have demanded this so that way the public can see an accounting of the money. That I would love to see a presentation on our SARC report. And in regards to English learners, we have 29.5% meeting or exceeding in language, and the numbers in that is 4. So I heard your explanation before. I'm pretty sure it just rolls over to this same question. I feel there's need for improvement here as well.
And I agree. I mean, I think that there's always going to be a need for improvement. Always, even with the exemplary work that's happening at the elementary school. I'm sure that the set administration teachers are not satisfied even with that growth, right? We're always pushing for more. And I think what we get from the dashboard, we do get, though, areas where we are doing better in some areas, and areas where we clearly have significant room for growth. But, you know, we do appreciate the data because it illuminates that for us at least a lot more than the older system where we just had a number of API, which is a number. This is giving us good data. We realize that there are areas where we have strengths, and I think those strengths deserve to be called out, and I think we have areas for growth, and those deserve to be called out, and they deserve action.
Yeah, I understand the explanation that was given, but also like with the CAS test and the SAT test and the other test, right? They have been proven that the kids that exceed in these tests excel in college as well. So this is important that our kids, why are our kids scoring so poorly on these tests?
I agree, it's highly important. And I think what you see from the data is there are areas where we are performing well, and there are areas where we are not performing well. And I think that's what drives our professional development. That's what drives our action plans, right? We have some deficiencies right now in math performance. It's clear. And we appreciate the clarity, right? Now it's time that we act. Right? And that's where we act in professional development. And that's that continual improvement process. But, you know, we're transparent and honest about it. We know there's areas for strength and areas for growth.
I think it'll be interesting to see all the improvements of the elementary school push up through the high school too, especially since we're using the same data.
Yeah, and I think we're very optimistic about the work that's happening at the high school. I think that we're super excited about the leadership. We're excited about the culture, about the tone. Those things around, and that's kind of what the dashboard tries to do with conditions of learning. It's not even just instruction strategies that impacts performance. Positive culture impacts performance. we're very excited about the good work that's happening at senior high school. I think you'll see that show up in the data as we move forward.
Mark, I just wanted to answer your question regarding the graduation rate. What's confusing about the SARC is they mix years of reporting, and so you're referring back to 2017 to 18 for 100% graduation rate.
Because we have a graduation class of 2019, and so
So that's the year prior to what Michael was just reporting on.
Oh.
Yeah. So they actually mixed 3 years in this report, so it was.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions? All right, so 7.1 is the start of our first reading of our all be done for policies.
Could you speak a little louder?
Sure, I'm sorry. Got rid of that. So 7.1 is the first reading of our newly reviewed board policies. So how do you want to do it? Do you want to just go over them one by one?
I would go through it one by one to see
Okay.
if you have any suggestions. All of these changes were a result of changes in law, either federal or state law, and so that's why they're being recommended for revision by CSBA.
So you're going to go over them in any detail, or we read them all and there's no real
That's
changes
what it is.
that we
There's
can
no,
make?
you don't have any changes there.
Okay. Anybody? No? Okay, great.
So next time I'll bring these same policies back for action.
Perfect. Okay, then moving on to 8.1, I understand that both principals just getting back, we're not doing a report tonight, right? You guys want a little bit of time?
Happy New Year.
Okay, perfect, good. All right. Did you have a report, or we were going to let you? Okay, perfect. Go ahead, Ms. Alexa.
Currently, the ASB class is starting to plan this year's prom. This year will mark a momentous occasion because it is the beginning of a new decade. Keeping this in mind, the ASB class has big plans in mind. In order to make these plans a reality, we have been working hard towards raising enough money. We have run into financial mishaps already, but we are thinking about all fundraising opportunities in the future. Our goal is to make sure that it will be an experience unlike any other. We are doing everything we can to encourage all students to participate. This includes making the ticket prices as low as possible. The ASB class will need approval from the board once certain details are finalized. With prom planning comes senior trip planning. The seniors in the ASB class have been in touch with the rest of their class to plan this trip. They have put a lot of time and dedication into planning because they want it to be an unforgettable experience. The ASB class hopes all goes well with their trip.
Alexa, when you're talking about the trip, you're talking about the Disneyland trip?
Yes.
Okay. And is everybody aware of that and have the opportunity to sign up for it?
Yes. Jasmine Romero, she is keeping in touch with all of the students.
Okay, a few people asked me, that's what I was wondering. And then is ASB also going to fundraise for that, or is that pretty much up to the student?
That's up to the senior
Up
class.
to the senior, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Michael, it's your show again.
Give an update on the science pilot. We have trainings happening this week for our teachers who are participating in the pilot. We have a group of teachers participating in the pilot who are teaching, one group's teaching one curriculum, and each group is teaching a different curriculum in the fall, and then they kind of flip-flop curriculums. This was supposed to happen in October, but the fires that got delayed, and so our trainings are happening now. We have a trainer here from Pearson today, and then Carolina Smithsonian tomorrow. So that will prepare our teachers for round 2, and then around March we'll be able to evaluate each one and come back with a recommendation. A big shout out to our teachers. Piloting is not easy, especially this time. Our teachers, I feel like they're learning NGSS, they're learning the standards, and then they're learning a new curriculum, and they have to evaluate that curriculum as new standards. So it's a big lift, and it's above and beyond for other what they would normally do. So I really appreciate how they've taken it seriously, their role in it seriously, and I look forward to bringing something back once we have made some decisions. That's really all I have. I took some vacation, so I don't have a lot else. I feel rested, restored. I saw some teachers today and a lot of smiles. People feel rested, restored. You know, teaching is and working with kids is emotional work, right? And it's draining. And I think our teachers need to have that break. They need to be able to restore. I know when we're not at our best, it impacts our interactions with kids. It impacts our ability to be effective. And so I think it's great to have a break. I think our teachers need it. Our staff needs it. I think I need it. So, but no, it's great to be back.
Excellent. Okay, Director of Business Services, Maureen. Last month, I think I talked to the board about our potential pilot program for offering breakfast before school to our 7th through 12th graders, and we did start that program today. We didn't have anyone come, but we did just advertise it starting last week, so we're hoping that with more advertisement, and as soon as the kids know, word gets around that, hey, school, or you can come have breakfast 30 minutes before school, that we'll have a lot more participation. So we'll see how it goes between now and the end of the year. We hired someone about 2 hours more per week, and then we kind of restructured schedules a little bit for our food service staff. So it's a worthwhile pilot program to try and feed kids so that they can be in class and be ready to learn and have some food in their bellies. The only other thing I'm going to mention tonight is during our Christmas break, Paul and I did some work on our storage shed, and our storage shed contained, the shed was completely filled with boxes from many years of not being cleaned out and things not going to the shredder like they should. So Paul and I spent some time over the Christmas break. We were able to get rid of about 85 boxes of shredding and about 41 boxes that need to go to what is it called? One doc stop for scanning. So that felt really good to do something like that at the end of the new year. At the end of the year and start the new year out fresh. And now we're all up to date with what we need to go on to do on a yearly basis with our shredding. So that was nice to be able to do that while everybody was gone. And that's all I have.
Before and after video of the show.
It looks so good.
I have a question, Maureen. Are the kids still receiving a snack during break?
They can. They have both opportunities before school and at break, so they can come in either or. And if they do decide to come in twice, obviously if they're a free reduced lunch student, one of them will be free or reduced, and then the other one would be paid for. But they can eat at both times if they want to, or they can eat either in the morning before school or at break. I got the newsletter that had the menu and everything, and I forwarded it to both the kids just in case they wanted to come 10 minutes early, which I doubt if they do. But did the kids get copies of the menu too, somehow? They do? Okay. Yeah. The menu is on the website for both schools, and then also at the elementary school, we send it home with each of the students. Do you send the menus home with the students at high school? Bulletin goes out.
I saw the announcement on Facebook. I mean, it was so yummy, so I'm surprised that they did come,
Yeah. I think as soon as word gets around, they'll start. That's 7th through 12th graders, getting them to school early is kind of difficult sometimes. Yeah. Maybe more than 8, so we start at 8:20. Okay. And Erin, 8.6.
As you probably remember, our district's federal program monitor review was postponed. It was supposed to occur in October, and because of the Kincaid fire, they had to postpone it. So we are now scheduled for January 21st through 23rd. We will have a review team on site. They will be here for a variety of reasons. First, they will look through some more documents. They're going to interview school site council members at the elementary school. They will interview DLAC members. They will observe instruction in the regular classrooms, and they also will hold individual meetings with any Title I funded position or people who are assisting English learners. So they are here for a full 2.5 days, and when they leave, they will give a report on the review and issue findings if we have them. So as a reminder, if we are issued any findings, we'll have 45 days to remedy those findings. And then I'm also very excited to announce that CD has released a new LCAP template once again. So I'll be attending a training on the document tomorrow at the county office. I've been able to preview it, but they'll be walking us through each of the new sections. I am pleased that it's going to be shorter than it has in the past. Under LCAP goal number 2, we have a CJUSD staff t-shirt in front of there for each of you. That was purchased with donations from one of our community members. We gathered the words from our staff when we had our welcome back breakfast. So those are descriptors from our staff's point of view. So I hope you will wear them with pride. And then under LCAP goal number 3, our daily leadership team meets this week, and for the first time we're utilizing that team to create the LCAP survey that will be given to our staff, our students, and our parents. So I'm looking forward to that process. And then we are going to be establishing a new district LCAP advisory committee to also try to gather more input from our stakeholders. And it just feels good to have our students back. We spent 3 weeks in the district on and off our district office staff, and it's a very quiet place. We obviously accomplished a lot of tasks that are easier to get done when there aren't people around, but it was just a good energy. It felt great to have everybody back.
Okay. Moving on to the consent agenda. Actions proposed for the consent agenda are deemed routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless any member of the board or the audience or staff requires a specific item to be removed from the consent agenda for separate action. So,
I would like 9.5 to be removed.
okay, 9.5, the SARC report?
All right, I would like a presentation just like we had on the dashboard on our SARC report.
Okay. So you can pull it off?
You can pull it off, and then
Do
the
it
board
at the
can
next
vote on it separately. You can vote on it at this meeting as a separate item.
Wait, I just don't, let me just make sure I'm addressing him. So we can vote as to whether or not we want to have it as a
No.
presentation?
Your trustee has the authority to remove it from the consent agenda, and you would vote on that item separately. So you would vote on the remainder of the agenda first,
Okay.
and then pull that and vote on that separately.
Okay.
And I can explain the timelines, legal timelines regarding the SARC when we get to that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so right now we're just going to go ahead and take 9.5 out, and I am looking for a motion to approve the rest of the consent agenda minus that one item.
So move.
And s- Okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
All right. And then 9.5 discussion.
So the law requires,
Sorry, it's a roll call vote. President Elkiston, aye. Clerk Reed?
Aye.
Trustee Lopez Jones? Trustee Maxfield is absent. Trustee Galindo?
Aye.
And student representative? Okay, now,
so the SARC is simply a compilation of all of the data that the state, has. So this is all data that the public has already had access to, and then the principals put in particular texts regarding, say, the school environment. So there is some data that is site-driven, but the rest of it, Mark, comes from the State Department. So you can go ahead and postpone this. However, we have to legally have it approved by February 1st and posted by the school site. So if you did not approve it tonight, if you want to wait till some presentation about it, then we would need to hold a special meeting to present it at that meeting. To approve it at that meeting.
okay, well, given that the information is available and has been available for a while, I feel confident going ahead and approving it without a separate discussion. So I guess it just is up to whether or not you two want a separate discussion for it.
Just my question would be for Trustee Galindo to kind of give us a listening. I mean, I want to understand why to have a separate presentation and all that.
Absolutely, which is our parliamentary procedure to discuss any motions that are before the board. But yes, there's a lot of information in here, and the breakdown of the data by ethnicity and the alignment of how the state's doing in regards to how we're doing. An explanation from our excuse me, pardon me, from our principals, our directors, our administrators, on the data that is before us. So this is the second time that I've noticed that it's been placed in the consent agenda. I feel like the legislators mandated that the SARC report, the school's accountability report card, is an explanation on how the money has been spent. To hide it in the consent agenda, I don't feel it's fair. But I feel an explanation on some of these numbers, because I just heard that English learners are doing just fine in regards to the state performance. And the data that I just saw is different. I feel it.
I'm confused. You're talking about two different issues, so I'm not quite sure. First, let's talk about the money issue. What are you talking about with the...
It's the reason why we are mandated to have a SARC report.
No, but what are your questions about the... What's your specific questions about that?
I have no questions about that. I understand that perfectly clear. Okay. What I'm wanting is an explanation, not an explanation, a presentation on the school's accountability report card. Because from the other presentations, it seems like we're doing just fine, but if you look at the school's accountability report card, it has a different message.
So I guess I'm looking for some guidance as to why there would be disparities between the two.
There's no disparities in the data, in the numbers. So as a board, you can choose to approve this tonight, and as a board, if you would like to direct our staff to come back with a presentation regarding it, we can do that at a different date. But the data is not going to change. The data is the same data.
Now, I would be okay with that. As long as we get a presentation on this, I am okay with passing it tonight. But we have yet to have a presentation is from the years that I've been on this board on our SARC report. I feel that it's necessary.
And it's not typical, Mark, for districts to report on that. It's very frequently put on the consent agenda.
Neither is 17% of the student body not meeting the standards in math. That isn't normal either.
I think this is, when we discussed this, when we discussed the CAST, we discussed it with the dashboard. There's no new data in here.
No, there isn't. But what I'm asking is a presentation on this data. It is broken down differently in this report than all the other reports. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So it totally makes sense, but this presentation and explanation about how this data is put together and why it can be done months prior for informational purposes, we want to educate ourselves. I think that at this point, it's just, there's no need to postpone it and risking not being in compliance when we can put it as an informational item in the next following months or months before the data is released.
Just for instance, nobody has mentioned that 0% of students with disability are meeting or exceeding in math. I mean, nobody has mentioned that. It has a difference. Or how about 13% of the SEDs? Has anybody mentioned that? That our students with in poverty are doing horrible? How are they to get out of the poverty level if they're doing so poorly in math? You need math in every one of our CTE programs. It is very important. If no prison, just up for a vote. I ran on transparency. So did a lot.
I don't think it's a matter of transparency. I think it's just a matter of this is the same data that's been collected from all different things, and maybe we just need a lesson on how to read it.
This report was placed in our board docket and no later than 2:30 today.
No, but that information's been out there in all the different places. This is where the state pulls it all down into one report.
Agreed.
Right.
So why would they have this report if all the data is out there? It's collected and put in this report for a reason.
Right. I think what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and leave it up to these guys to move to approve or disapprove it. But I think that what I'll ask is that maybe we just figure out a little lesson in the future on how to read the SARC report so that we're not confused.
I'm not confused on this. We have parliamentary procedures. We're in the the part of discussion right now, so I'm done.
No,
with
I
my
understand that,
discussion.
but I'm not confused by it, and I don't think they are either. I think that it's a compilation of data pulled down, and I think if we learn how to read the report, then we'll know there's nothing new on it.
I move that we approve item 9.5.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a roll call vote. President Elkstrom, aye. Clerk Reed?
Aye.
Trustee Lopez?
Aye.
Maxfield is absent. Trustee Galindo?
No,
And student representative. All right. Okay, moving forward to action items. Action 10.1, protocol for action items includes a staff presentation, questions from the board, public input, deliberation by the board, and voting by the board. During public input, there will be a 3-minute time limit per person. 10.2, acceptance of the 2018-19 audit. Again, we heard from Christy White and Associates that conducted an analysis of the Cal-Stoke Joint Unified School District's financial performance for the fiscal year ending June 2019. And it is recommended that we accept the 18-19 audit as presented. So I'm looking for a motion. Do you want to say anything else? Okay. I think it was pretty clear. Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving on to 10.3, approval of Form J13A. This form is required for allowance of attendance due to emergency conditions on October 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, all the way to the 1st, and then again on the 20th of November due to the emergency conditions related to the fire. So if there are no questions, this is basically asking for a waiver for that. So I'm looking for a motion to approve that waiver.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then 10.4, facility use fee schedule. The facility use fee schedule has been updated to reflect current cost of operations in addition to refining district practices regarding facilities use requests. Do you want to say anything about that?
Sure, just a couple of things. I have to get in here somewhere.
Okay.
We are updating our fee schedule just because we do have an agreement with, well, there's a couple of reasons, but we have an agreement with Adult Ed, and they are using our wood shop as a classroom for adult education, and we did not have that on our fee schedule, so we're adding that to our fee schedule. I also went ahead and updated all of the fees to comply with the ed code that is current law. And then most of the fees stayed right around the same as they were before. There are changes up and down in each of the categories, but again, very, very little changes, so overall, not much change at all. We don't see a whole lot of income from our fees. Most of our facility users are category 1, meaning they're part of student programs, and so that's who mostly uses our facilities. Adult education will be using a couple of classrooms and the wood shop, and they will be a category 2. So for that reason, we want to make sure our schedule is updated and we could charge them the correct amount for using those classrooms.
So I'm just looking for a motion to go ahead and approve the revised facilities fee schedule.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, of course you can.
Do groups who say a volleyball group wanting to use the gym from 8 to 10 differently, does that group have to have separate insurance?
Yes, they do.
Yes. And what kind of insurance is that nowadays?
It's a general liability insurance, and I can talk to you about it after the meeting if you'd like.
Okay, thank you. It should be on here though. And I don't see it.
I believe our website, when you look at the fee schedule and you look at the use of facilities, there's an explanation as to what's needed to be provided if you're going to rent the facility. So that is on our website.
And we might even give a couple links to, I'll give you an example. We do grad night here, but that's a separate parent promoted event, and we had to obtain insurance through the company, just a one-time fee. Any outside entity other than our school district has to provide some sort of liability insurance. Okay, so looking for a motion to go ahead and approve the revised facility fee schedule.
So I will have we approve the facility fee schedule.
Great. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 11.1 board meeting calendar. We have another board meeting February 3rd, 6 p.m., March 2nd, 6 p.m., and then all the way to April 13th, right after our break. And then upcoming events and activities. Next day off will be Monday, January 20th, Martin Luther King Day, and no school on the 21st through the 23rd. And then, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, January to 20th.
Sorry.
In my head, I'm thinking, wow, no school, awesome. I was thinking it was because there was a program. Okay, sorry, January 21st to the 23rd is a federal program, mentoring on site. And then 11.3, tentative future agenda items, SPSA.
School plans for student achievement.
Okay, all right. And
If
go
I
ahead.
can suggest a couple of agenda items. One is that, we are coming very rapidly to the census 2020, and we need to know the implications for the school district and, on a complete count. I know that requirements for students. One of the groups that have historically been undercounted is the 0 to 5 students in the whole state of California. So it's something that we need to start thinking about. What does that mean to us as a community and as a school district? And so a presentation that would be super informative. Yeah. And also, again, an educational opportunity for us on how to read that start report so that, we all understand where we are and what is on our hands to fix it. So, okay.
I totally agree with that. An explanation on the SARC report, because our kids at 11% graduation from college when they leave these doors. That doesn't align with our mission statement. Okay. Motion to adjourn.
Okay, no necessary to reconvene. Moved by Mark. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.